I decided that if I wanted to, I'm going to have to do something that I really didn't want to do. And so I remember sitting on the boat and I felt like those trees were watching me. If I can't make this work, then I can't make this work. Hi, I'm Danielle Romero, and thank you so much for being with me here on my channel where we talk about American identity and family stories. And I wanted to give you a little bit of a channel update. So I've had a couple videos that have been, for lack of a better word, banned, flagged here on YouTube. I don't know. I think saying things out loud is important, even if it has consequences. So one of the videos that YouTube flagged was my mom's uncle. I was talking about his birth certificate, and it says colored on his birth certificate. That is what it says. He was born in the 1930s in New York, and just kind of talking about that. And I got flagged for that. I actually had a human review that video. A human looked at it and still said that it was content that was as bad as the F word. That is their words. And other videos talking about my Melungeon heritage, Redbone heritage. Redbone in particular was another word that we weren't allowed to use. And, you know, there are a lot of words that we're not supposed to use. There's a lot of history that we're not supposed to talk about. And I want to get like into the nitty gritty here, because when YouTube flags a video, what is happening is, let me move this a little closer. What is happening is that people like me, so I'm doing this as my job right now. I'm home with my kids and I'm a history teacher by trade, but I want to be home with them right now. And I'm pretty unhappy with the state of schools and what we're allowed to talk about. And I felt like I had a lot more freedom to actually teach real history with real primary sources here. We do it together. I'm learning with you here. But when YouTube flags a video, what happens is I get paid for every 1,000 views. Basically, YouTube takes 55% of the ad revenue. I keep 45%. But when they flag a video, the video still is out in the world getting views, but I get 0% of the revenue. I don't know where that 45% is, but it's not with me. And this is a passion. I want to do this no matter what. But I also have to be kind of reasonable. I have 3 kids and a lot of obligations, great obligations. But if I can't make this work, then I can't make this work. And honestly, most of the problem is with what's happening with YouTube. It was making me think just a little bit about this larger pattern that's been unfolding in our country. A pattern that you see at school, libraries, like, you know what I'm talking about. Books are being pulled from shelves. Things that were okay to talk about 20 years ago are not okay today. And I think a lot of these stories are banned because it's stories that I think a lot of people would rather forget. What happens when the stories that shaped where we are, you may not know what story that is. You may not know everything that shaped what came before you, but it's there. It did. What happens when that's erased from our collective memory? That's the danger of book banning. That's the danger when any platform like YouTube or whatever else has just decided to unilaterally not only ban certain words, but ban creators, de facto ban, by keeping all the ad revenue from our work. And so that's happening right now. I know there are other platforms to go to. I use Patreon. Sometimes I upload videos there, but YouTube is the king, really. I mean, if I'm going to make this work, this is where you are. This is where my audience is. This is where we've connected, and I don't want to leave that. So I've been thinking about what to do. And I made a video about this in January because the same thing happened to me 8 months ago. And I was thinking back to one of my trips to Louisiana. And I was there and I was with some cousins. I was helping my husband. We were filming a documentary for them. And they took us out onto Black Lake. My great-grandmother, like some records actually say, like, she lived on Black Lake. And if you've seen pictures of old Louisiana houses, they're like more almost like houseboats or something like that. And it was not a boat, but it was on the water. And, there's cypress trees all around. And we went out onto the water, and I cannot even tell you what that felt like. It was the craziest feeling I have ever had. Now, if you've seen cypress trees, there's something hauntingly beautiful about them. There's something terrifying about them. There are these trees, they're coming out of the water. They have like the cypress knees coming up. These trees have seen so much. They've weathered storms, floods, passage of time, passage of laws, and they're still standing there, still guarding the stories of the land. And so I remember sitting on the boat and I felt like those trees were watching me, watching over me and watching me. I'm telling you, oh my gosh, the goosebumps. Just like sitting there was so crazy. I'm going to try to put some B-roll on here so you can see what it looked like. And it didn't just feel like they had been watching over my ancestors. It really felt like I was surrounded by ancestors there now. I don't want to get spooky with you. I get a little spooky at home with stuff. Like I just feel like I believe there's more out there than what meets the eye. But this was a powerful moment for me because I thought these stories matter. They need to be told even when it's difficult because history is really just stories. It's just storytelling. That's all it is. Even when the world seems to be pushing back. And that's what I want to do here on this channel. Keep these stories alive. Keep them rooted in our collective memory. Rooted was a word I was thinking. Rooted. That is what has kept these trees standing there for so many years. I don't want these stories to fade away into obscurity. But the more I try to do it, the more resistance I'm facing. And again, it's not just about getting videos flagged, but it's about this broader battle for who gets to tell our history, who gets to tell our story, whose voices get heard, whose voices get silent. Some people have suggested I move to another platform like Patreon, Substack, where I have more control. And believe me, I have thought about it, but there's a lot of appeal in that kind of independence. But I want to be here in the public eye. There are so many people on YouTube. I think YouTube has the most users per day, like any platform. And this is where many of us come to learn, to connect. I know I use YouTube for really anything I want to learn. I come to YouTube. And that's why it's so frustrating when this platform is supposed to be a space for sharing ideas is a gatekeeper. So I was thinking about those cypress trees on Black Lake, how they've stood the test of time, how they've weathered everything that's been thrown at them. And they remind me that we have to keep going, even when the wind's against us. Because if we don't, who will tell the stories? Who will remember if we let the past be erased? So I decided that if I wanted to, I'm going to have to do something that I really didn't want to do. I really didn't want to do a merch line. Not because I don't love YouTube merch. I've definitely bought stuff from some of my favorite creators. But it's just a lot to manage. It's just more stuff to manage. And I kind of already feel like I'm like at the top of what I can do. But I decided I've got to try everything. Like if I'm gonna do this, I gotta go big or go home. I designed a merch line, and it's based on the journeys that we've been on together on this channel, stories I've shared with you, that sense of resilience that I felt standing around these cypress trees on Black Lake. And so I would love to have your support. Now, what is the best way to support you? Watching the videos, honestly. And I hate being like, comment, subscribe. Like I don't start my videos like that. I don't end my videos like that. You do you. You don't need me to tell you what to do. But watching them and sharing them, once they're impactful for you, does help. It does help because it extends the reach beyond what YouTube is willing to let me have. So check out the merch if you can. It's a great way to support the stuff I'm doing here. And I am just really proud of the design that is on there. So thank you for being on this journey with me. I know it's not always easy. I know that we talk about really tough topics. We do. And some of the comments, I try to read as many comments as I can. And I welcome the conversation. I welcome the disagreements so that we can have these conversations. And I know a lot of people tell me, well, you really need to make sure your comments are moderated more and stuff. And I don't want that. What I want is for there to be a place in the internet where you're allowed to say your piece and people can discuss. And that's important to me. I want to model that. So thank you for being here with me. And I'm hoping, just like those cypress trees, I can keep standing strong, rooted in history, ready to face whatever comes and just keep looking for new ways to make things work. And so I am so thankful to have you here, and I'll leave a link to all of that merch below. Otherwise, we will talk soon.